to the Assistant Minister for Social Services and Prevention of Family Violence.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Well, you know, the choice at this year's coming election is so incredibly clear. Here you have Labor's plan to keep building Australia's future, or indeed the Liberals and Nationals' plans to cut everything, everywhere. That is their only plan. We know they have at least $350 billion in cuts proposed, but they won't tell us where. They won't tell us exactly where it is, if it's in health or social services, perhaps the NDIS, infrastructure, areas or agencies like the National Emergency Management Authority. We don't know exactly where those cuts will be, but they will be catastrophic for the Australian people. So it's a very, very clear choice at this election, with us building and with them cutting. That's all it is, build or cut. And of course the Leader of the Opposition, the fact is he will make families worse off by cutting the very things that they need. He's done it before and he will definitely do it again. And they really don't have any plans at all, except their one plan, the $600 billion nuclear madness scheme. That's all they've got, $600 billion. And what will they cut to pay for that? And the end result of all that will just be much higher power prices for Australians. But let's have a look, Deputy Speaker, at exactly the record, particularly of the Leader of the Opposition and the Liberals and Nationals. So, as a Health Minister, the Leader of the Opposition cut $50 billion from our public hospitals, cut funding for Medicare, tried to end bulk billing with that GP tax, and we all remember that one, and particularly how unpopular it was right across the community. They also tried to make medicines a lot more expensive and charge for emergency room visits. And of course, we all remember Leader's Opposition was voted the worst health minister. Well, let's go back even a little bit further. As we've heard a few times today, and we reflect on 2013, we had the then Leader of the Opposition running around saying to people prior to the election that there would be no cuts to health, no cuts to education, no cuts to pensions, no cuts to the ABC, no cuts to the SBS. And what did they do as soon as they got in? Cut all of them, every single one of those. But let's come back to the present day. The Liberals and Nationals that we have here, let's look at what they've done. They've opposed Labor's tax cuts for every taxpayer. They've opposed Labor's Medicare urgent care clinics. They've opposed Labor's cheaper medicines plan, opposed Labor's cheaper childcare plan, and opposed Labor's energy bill relief as well in the past. All of our cost of living measures have been opposed by the Liberals and Nationals. Now, Australians need those cost of living measures, and they have opposed every single one. The fact is now Australians are earning more and keeping more of what they earn under Labor, but the fact is they'll be working much longer for less under the Liberals and Nationals. That's what will happen. We are so focused on the cost of living and the tax cut for every taxpayer. And you know what they're focused on, Deputy Speaker? The only thing they're focused on is tax breaks for bosses, long lunches and golf days. That's about it. That's what they focus on. We focus on everyday Australians and the cost of living pressures that they have. And it has been absolutely clear-cut. That's our focus. And, of course, that will be the focus tonight when the Treasurer will build upon his fourth budget speech tonight. Again, we will see that focus on the cost of living, which is so important. And of course, when we came to government, inflation was high and rising, real wages were falling, and living standards were declining. Under our government, inflation is almost a third of what it was at the election and is falling. Real wages are growing again. We have recorded the lowest average unemployment rate for any government in 50 years, and we've overseen the creation of more than 1 million jobs, because our economic plan is all about helping Australians earn more and keep more of what they earn. And we do that because responsible economic management is so important at the core of this government and all that we do deliver. Now, I'd like now, Deputy Speaker, to turn to some of those cost of living measures that we have in place. Now, we understand that people have been and are still doing it tough. That's why our entire focus is on cost of living measures. So, first of all, we have had, of course, those tax cuts for every taxpayer. And can I tell you, in an electorate like mine, the north coast of New South Wales, that's more than 70,000 people that have had a tax cut. We have had energy bill relief for every household, and we just announced that an extra $150 in energy bill relief, extending our energy rebates until the end of 2025, and that builds on the $300 energy rebate we already delivered to households. And of course, also cheaper medicines, so vitally important for Australians. And we've said that the scripts will cost Australians no more than $25 under the PBS. And of course, the cost for pensioners and concession card holders will remain capped at $7.70. That's going to make a huge difference in the lives of so many Australians, particularly our senior Australians. And of course, we have one of our other cost-living measures, cheaper childcare, so important for families and so important for women to get, particularly women, to get back into employment, and so important for our economy as well. We've also had our HECS relief, and we have, of course, announced, if re-elected, a 20% cut from HECS debts, which will really help, particularly those younger people with those HECS debts. And, of course, free TAFE. What a game changer this has been in terms of training Australians. Again, in an area like mine, that's 5,000 people that were able to access TAFE because of Labor's free TAFE. Of course, also we have our Medicare urgent care clinics and our mental health, Medicare mental health clinics as well. Both of those where people can walk in for free. You only need your Medicare card. And we're doing that, of course, on top of increasing that bulk billing rebate for everyone, so more people can access a doctor when they need it. We are absolutely committed to strengthening Medicare. We always have been. We also, as part of so many of the measures we've introduced, invested in social and affordable housing, including recently expanding the Help to Buy scheme as well, so that more younger people and renters can get into the housing market. And of course, we have also strengthened our social security safety nets, which is so vital in this country. And particularly when we look at, we've increased the rent assistance by 40% since we came into government, and increased pensions by almost 70% since we have been in government. Now, as I said before, all those cost of living measures, the Liberals and Nationals oppose them. They've always opposed them all along the way, all along the line. And the fact is Australians would be much worse off under the Liberals and Nationals. We know that to be an absolute fact. And, Deputy Speaker, if I can just add that whilst we are absolutely committed to building Australia's focus, our absolute priority is that we make sure every step of the way and every day that we've been in government we've done that. We do also are very mindful when we have natural disasters in this country, and I do briefly want to touch on that as well, because it goes to the heart of what our government is committed to and what we do, addressing cost of living measures whilst also being able to be proactive in communities like mine that were impacted recently by Tropical Cyclone Alfred. And that's because our government, the Albanese Labor government, is there for people and communities. That is a fact. And from those hardship payments to repairing roads, we have absolutely been there. And I would just like to briefly acknowledge, firstly, all of those agencies that were so well prepared and worked together in my region. We had the SES, the RFS, the ADF, and they were there on the ground, which was wonderful. Essential Energy, councils, the Services Australia too. And I particularly want to acknowledge and thank the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister for being there on the ground with people in our region and talking to them. The New South Wales Premier, all of the New South Wales state ministers, our Minister for Emergency Management, Senator Jenny McAllister, and also Senator Tony Sheldon, who is our flood envoy, and all of them being on the ground every single day, coordinating and working with those agencies, and our Prime Minister, who was coordinating that from the National Situation Room at the NEMA headquarters, the National Emergency Management Authority here in Canberra, an agency we set up to respond to natural disasters, because we know we have to be there for Australians, whether that is every single day with cost of living relief or planning and providing support when we do have natural disasters. And we have invested a huge amount in disaster funds and also in NEMA, but the fact is we were there on the ground with all of those agencies, and it means so much to people. And also, of course, announcing some of the really important payments people could access, the hardship payments of $180, the disaster allowance, those payments for lost wages that people have during natural disasters when they can't get to work or their place of work is closed, and also the disaster payment of $1,000 for major damage. And we, for the first time, activated those payments prior to it happening, again, because we care about Australians and we address the issues that they have. And we have been doing that ever since we were elected, since day one, and our main focus every single day is addressing the cost of living pressures that Australians have. The focus of everyone in our government, and that will absolutely be the focus also of the Treasurer tonight, outlining his fourth budget, those measures that will help Australians, because we understand people are doing it tough, and we are a government that continues to be committed to providing the support that Australians need right across our nation.